Beat it.
Welcome to Bears on Tap, hosted by Quinten Krzysko, Samir Patel, Sonny Verma, and the one and only Luce. Bringing you all the news, analysis, and opinions on the charter franchise, Chicago Bears.
Oh, the mute button gotcha, Q.
I don't know how that turned on. I didn't hit that. That is so bizarre. Well, anyway, welcome back to another episode of Bears on Tap. I am full of technical issues tonight, so my apologies there. But we are coming off a lovely victory, a nice Sunday afternoon. Mr. Ron Luce was there in person, freezing his butt off, just like enjoying every second of it. But Bears beat the Browns. Was it 31-3? I believe.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Gentlemen, starting with Ron, how are you guys doing this evening?
Gentlemen, I'm thawing out. I know probably people are looking at this, or at least they're watching and wondering why I'm in a sleeveless after being cold all day. I had 5 layers on my upper body and 3 layers on my lower body with 3 pairs of socks on and boots today. Like, I think I just need to air out my skin, if that makes sense. There's a lot of layers on today, but I'll tell you what, man, it was cold, but Bears fans are a bunch of crazy, sick, psychotic people that are in the best way possible because they showed up and showed out. The Bears played great. Yeah, it was cold, but you know what? It was a load of fun, and even more fun to get to tell you guys all about it right here on this show with you two beautiful gentlemen. Mr. Samir, how are you doing, my friend?
Dude, I'm doing great. And I was telling Ron in the pregame show, or whatever we want to call it, that the Bears fans, like, they were out in force, man. You could feel them during that whole game. Like, they were not shying away from the cold. They had the classic shot of random guy taking his shirt off. Hopefully he's still alive somewhere. But yeah, the Bears fans did not shy away from the noise, from the energy. Like, you guys brought it, Ron. I don't know if you were the one serving all the beers out of your parking spot or not, but you can take credit for it because you guys definitely balled out. And yeah, it's nice to have an easy viewing Sunday, isn't it, gentlemen? We haven't had one of those in quite some time, so it was fun to watch.
Very fun to watch, absolutely. And we got Scott in the comments saying, "Come on, it wasn't that cold." Only the third coldest game ever at Soldier Field. You know, it's not the coldest. Come on, guys.
Cold is a mindset.
And then Sonny in the comments saying 10 wins. Yep, 10 wins. It's a nice feeling. Three weeks to go. We're already at 10 wins. You know, that's most years you'd say, okay, they're locked in for the playoffs now. This year, little different because we got the NFC is just a gauntlet this year, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we can get a few more wins in here. We got the Packers next week. Micah Parsons went out with what looks like a torn ACL, and Christian Watson also went out with, I think it was a broken collarbone. So the Packers are, not quite the same team that we saw them just last week. And outside of that, even before the injuries, I was going like, man, I like the matchup for the Bears there because the Packers, coming off a very physical dogfight of a game against the Bears, have to travel across country to Denver, go play in the altitude, and then come back in a short week and play in Chicago. That felt a lot harder to me than the Bears, who get to spend 2 weeks at home, one of which against the Browns. Seems like that's in their favor. But we're here to talk about this game. So, gentlemen, starting with Samir, what were your general thoughts in this game as you were watching it?
Yeah, so, after every one of the Bears wins that they've had so far, you hear Ben and even us talk about like, oh, well, they didn't even click. They didn't play their best game, right? They didn't there's still meat they left on the bone. I feel like, man, guys, we got really close to taking all the meat off that bone, right? Caleb, I think, played his most comfortable looking game of the season so far. You didn't get a lot of misses and airmails and people not being on the same page. It looked like one of them that was, kind of out there, but we saw in the replay that Zacchaeus slipped, right? So I think as far as the offense goes, like they really were in sync. Now the drops Still got to clean some of that up. It's cold out, so maybe that was part of it. But I don't know if some of this Bears receiving core deserves the benefit of the drop when it comes to those drops, because they've had it, this problem kind of all year. So offense was really clicking. I thought the defense, played really well. There's still a little issue with the deep ball. We saw it against the Packers. We saw it here against the Browns, but I'm not going to nitpick against a rookie quarterback. Browns did enough to shoot themselves in the foot, and the Bears, kind of capitalized on it. So,
Ron, any thoughts from you as you were in the stands? What was it like there? What were you feeling throughout the game?
I'll tell you what, man, it was truly dominant football from start to end. Like Duvernay with the big kickoff return to start the game. It immediately felt like the Bears were in control. And that's really how it was most of the day. Sure, maybe 14-0 doesn't feel that impressive early on, but I'll tell you what, the defense stood tall. I mean, outside of 2 deep throws by Shedeur and then some garbage time football at the end, like the Browns effectively did nothing on offense for the first 3 quarters. It was genuinely impressive to see. The defense was humming, the offense was humming, as you mentioned, Samir. Like the negative plays of the offense for the most of the day, outside of maybe a negative run or 2, were mostly drops. The Monangai drop on the screen, the Burden drop is another one I can think of. Obviously, Zacchaeus slipping is just tragically unfortunate, but man, I'll tell you what, I know we're probably going to get to it at some point, but I just gotta say it. Being in attendance and watching Caleb throw that football up to the back of the end zone, every single person, I had 3 people around me go, "What are you doing?" as that ball gets released, only for all of us to start celebrating in disbelief because DJ Moore actually caught the football. That throw was like, I had to see the replay. It didn't even make sense initially watching it happen. All of a sudden he catches it because he throws it up so quick to celebrate. Everybody, we were on the opposite side from where that touchdown was scored. Every single person by us just went, "Wait, did they just score?" And then Bear Down starts playing, and everybody's like, "Wait, what? What just happened?
Yeah.
Did they really just score?" It was absolutely bonkers, man. I'll tell you what, this is exactly how the Bears needed to play against the Cleveland Browns. They needed to wipe away the gross taste from last week. And I'll tell you what, you watched the post-game discussion and pep talk from Ben Jackson getting the game ball, and he says, short week, but we're looking forward to those Packers. And you mentioned
they got a bad taste.
This team's ready. Like, and they needed, this was almost, I think back to The Longest Yard and Adam Sandler looking at the commissioner of the jail and saying, "Well, you need a tune-up game. You gotta, play Appalachia State and kick the shit out of them. Get the boys' confidence up." That's kind of what this game felt like for the Bears. It really did, because again, sure, Myles Garrett had his sack. Sure, the Browns did some good things. Like, I think Shedeur might be the guy for the Browns, as crazy as that might sound. The Bears controlled this game start to end, and it wasn't even close.
Now, man, I don't know if you guys caught much, if any, of that Packers-Broncos game, but, like, I did, and I came away from the Bears game a week ago, the Packers-Bears game, very impressed by the Packers' play speed, by their aggression, how hard they're hitting people, and just how downhill they are. And I didn't feel the same way watching them against the Broncos, which is just interesting to me that either the Bears really took a lot out of them and they couldn't play that way again, or they really got up for that game more than any other game. And like, I'm not sure you can do that 2 out of 3 weeks. So either way, I'm feeling good about that.
I believe the updated statistic now, if I remember correctly, is 2-10-1 are teams that play after they play the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears are genuinely beating the shit out of people.
Yeah. Well, Ron, I ran the numbers on this 2 weeks ago, and it wasn't even just that. Like, so against the spread, they were pretty similar to what you'd expect. But from a like point, which is odd, because from a point differential standpoint, teams averaged in their games that weren't right after the Bears, they averaged losing by like 1 point. I think it was like 24-23 or something. The week after they played the Bears, their average score was a loss of like 27-17. It's like a wide difference, which is just interesting.
Green Bay got two very physical teams back to back, right? Like you said, they got up for that Bears game. The Bears got up for that Packers game. It was intense and it was cold and it was physical. Now they go to Denver, who, I mean, guys, let's be honest, is a better defense, right? Than the Bears, just like I think overall. Also physical, also high altitude, right? So they're maybe a little bit more gas than they're normally used to. And I think that statistic that Ron mentioned for the Bears, I think the Broncos have a similar statistic, right? So that kind of does favor the Bears a little bit. I think teams don't have a great record coming off of games after they've played Denver. So things are, I think, lining up for the Bears next week.
But gentlemen, I know I'm guilty of it. I'm the one who did it. We got to make this about Bears Browns, right? We can't make it about the Packers yet.
Opening up a can of worms, Q.
That's true.
Ron, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here. Where were your seats?
We were in section 324, which is the south end zone.
South end zone. Okay. So what do you notice from those seats that you might not notice on the broadcast or from other seats? Because I feel like every seat in the stadium gives you a different perspective of the game for like good and bad. There's things you can see and things you can't. So what could you see from there?
I'll tell you what, I think just in general, the difference of the broadcast view, because it's the throw and then it cuts to the catch, just seeing the process, and actually getting an appreciation on the throws that, Caleb's making, that even Shedeur Sanders was making, all of a sudden you quickly can judge a lot differently, where it's like, oh, that was a good ball, or oh, that was just a bad ball, versus on TV, because they have to, for broadcast sake, get it right. So I think that was the biggest thing. Like, Scott kind of mentions it here. He says the NFL channel asked how crazy the second catch for DJ was. How crazy was that pass? That pass was bonkers. And you get to really appreciate it watching it in person instead of having to deal with the broadcast cut view. So, I think you really get an understanding. I think like the Eagles game would have been a good example. If you're in attendance, you watch the wind affect the throws, right? Where we don't necessarily get that view on television. So it's just, there's, especially too with football, and maybe this is just the football sicko in me, like just watching the sport in person is always better than watching it on television. It's just different,
Absolutely. And I love I know everyone, like, historically it's like 50-yard line of the best seats in the house. I love the end zone seats.
I love the end zone.
You can see so much from that spot.
I'll tell you what, Q, I have some tickets with the Chicago Blackhawks that obviously I'm a huge hockey fan as well. My seats are behind where the Hawks shoot twice in the corners. Like, I like being in the corner because you really you can watch the play develop from behind. It's almost an all 22 view of sorts for football fans. Like, you really do get to see everything. I think seeing how much that, Ben will use motion and how that motion sets things up. And like, you get it on the broadcast view, but I just don't think you get the appreciation for like how far guys are running, or how wide, when the Bears go like 9 or 10 guys on the line of scrimmage, how wide they actually are and how much of the field it takes up. I was telling Samir this while, Q was unfortunately dealing with some technical difficulties, but you think back to like the mid 2000s when University of Oregon would go no huddle spread. And the idea was, we're going to spread out everything and we're going to speed up this pace of play and we're going to wear you out because you're just going to be gassed. The Bears do that in a similar way, but they do it in like a power form, in the sense of, we're going to spread you out. Like, when they go 9 guys on the line of scrimmage, they are out further than the hash marks on either side, no matter where the ball is. It's that many human beings. And then because of how they can do the spacing, you see tight ends sometimes where they almost like widen out an additional gap almost, as if there's like a fake player there. When you see them do that, you all of a sudden sit there and go, the spread offense is alive and well. Everybody's just making it look different. The whole idea is still to dominate spacing, find double teams in the run game, just make it easy on your O-line, because everything is just so favored to them. There's double teams, there's extra space. You get everybody involved in blocking, and you really just you see the appreciation for it. So I love being behind the play. I think when you're at 50-yard line, Watch it on television at that point. It's the same fucking thing. Go to the game and like watch it from a different angle because you really do just get appreciation for how everything ends up working out.
Hey, Ron, how did you get to see 95? Did you keep your eye on 95 and how were they using him similar to Micah? Or to me when I was trying to watch it, because I was trying to find that comparison that we talked about, right? I don't want to make it about Packers again. I get that. But it looked like they just had 95 across from Ozzie the whole time, right?
Just same side. Yeah. It was kind of how like the Steelers would use like TJ Watt. Like he typically rushes against your right tackle, and that's just kind of his spot, and that's what they do. And that's kind of how they treated with Myles Garrett. He wasn't moving around. You know, again, we talked about it on the recap show. Like Parsons was being moved to get one-on-ones with Jonah Jackson. Like that was not the case today. It was Ozzie all day long. And I'll tell you what, Garrett had a couple of plays, but overall, like it was a respectable day from the left side of the offensive line, even with dealing with the guy that's probably going to break the sack record when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I thought so. And Ron, Scott here, hoping that you got some time aside from just staring at the O-line and lamenting over it and thinking it through with his comment here. Ron was probably dictating the Bears O-line the entire game rather than enjoying it. But, I mean, I don't see the problem.
See, I enjoy that. I enjoy that. So therefore, it's totally fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah. Now, you guys ready to get into our first segment here?
Let's do it.
The baddest man.
All right, going to toss this one to Samir first. We're talking the baddest man on the Chicago Bears today, the guy who the Cleveland Browns walked into their locker room, just talking to each other about, like, I hope I never see that dude again in my life. That was awful. Samir, who is the baddest man on the Bears today?
Yeah, so there's a lot of candidates to choose from here. And I think I'm just going to go with who I felt like I was the most impressed with, and that's 18. I mean, I think DJ got a game ball, totally deserves it. Swift played awesome. A lot of guys you could give it to, but I'm going to go with 18. I think his first half was really, really impressive. His completion percentage, he started 0 for 2, then he completed his next 9 passes. And then, you know, he had a couple drops and people, you know, not kind of coming through when he needed to, but like, and I think in the first half is when he avoided Myles pretty well as well. So I don't know. I just think 18 was poised. He was the Iceman. He was everything that we wanted him to be. So I was really impressed with him. I'm gonna go with 18 as the baddest man.
I think it's a great choice, and like, I mean, I think that he could earn that alone just based on the one touchdown throw that we talked about a little before. Because I meant to say this after Ron brought it up. Like, I can't wait to see the all 22 with that throw, because the broadcast view just doesn't do it. Like I'm not comprehending how it happened, how that physically worked. So I think 18 is a great choice there. Ron, who is your? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Samir's choice is 100% the choice. Like, I don't think there's any question, because I came into the show tonight with 18 in mind as well. Because I'll tell you what, Q, having kind of seen the all 22 throw of that throw, essentially, it doesn't make sense. It might have been a little luck, and that's okay. But you saw the confidence that Caleb had in the post game presser. When they're like, do you think that was kind of like not the greatest throw? And he's like, nah, it's fine. I can make every throw. Yeah. Dude. If we're on the reference of cartoons right now, right? We got Greased Up Deaf Guy. He's got his nuts in the wheelbarrow too, as he's rolling it around. It's that kind of year for Caleb right now. He has been unbelievable. So yes, 18 is 100% like the answer.
Took the low hanging fruit.
Well, and I want to, while we're on it, because you said that the confidence in the post game, he's got his swagger back. That hasn't been there this year. Like it's been like it was there early last year, and then you started to see it fade because last year was brutal, right? Like, and then this year I feel like it's been so much like, well, I'm learning. He's hitting his stride with the confidence in the offense now, and that is, watch out. That's big. Yeah. That is big to me.
I also think about the corner route to Loveland that he threw. That ball, watching that person, because that was right in front of us, was one of the best throws I've seen in a long time from any quarterback. Doesn't matter who, just spectacular.
Yeah.
Absolutely spectacular. But I'll tell you what, if we have to pick an honorable mention, because 18 is very much the right answer. You know, I'm actually I'm gonna give a little bit of love to a guy that I don't think didn't get the love that he probably deserved. I think Luther Burden was a bad man today.
Mm-hmm.
Luther Burden was spectacular, and watching him be kind of that guy again in absence of Rome as he continues to learn the playbook, like Luther Burden's doing some things. I know DJ had the statistically more, we'll call it sexy day, right? The 2 touchdowns, 69 yards, nice, and 4 catches, I believe. Luther had 6 or 7 catches. Oh, I did it again.
Mm-hmm.
I did this the other day on the.
Oh man,
well, I didn't do that on purpose, but I didn't mean to. But he had a really solid day with 80 plus yards receiving. Yeah, he didn't have a touchdown, but there were some very critical. Don't get me wrong, I remember the drop, but there were some catches and just especially what he does after the catch.
Yak. Mm-hmm.
The more that Luther Burden gets comfortable in this offense, the more teams are going to have an absolute problem with the Chicago Bears. Luther Burden is like that. There's a reason that they took him at 39. There's a reason that Ben Johnson's making sure he's getting a dog on the phone. Like, they know what he can be. He just has to be bought in. So you love to see the East St. Louis product be a bad dude, because number 10 was a bad dude today.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
He absolutely was, and he started to really, the last couple of weeks, he started to really look like that guy that's really hard to cover, and it's just kind of has that always open sign on him. So exciting stuff from Burden. But for me, I have one in mind. I'm going to talk about it in a second, but I feel like this other guy needs to be honorable mention. And I'm talking about a guy who played 73 defensive snaps in his career coming into week 12, guy who came up from the Bears practice squad as a primarily special teamer. And that's DeMarco Jackson.
Yeah.
Jackson had 7 tackles today, a sack, a tackle for loss, 2 passes defensed, a QB hit, and an interception. I mean, that stat line alone deserves some love. And he's a guy who he walked onto the Bears defense at a time of need when they had no linebackers and put the green dot on and said, hey, I got this. So shout out to DeMarco Jackson, but unfortunately, you're not my baddest man today. My baddest man today is DeAndre motherfucking Swift. That dude, he's running the football the way God intended right now. And it's a beautiful thing, because he's always had so many traits and so much athletic ability, but he's never quite had the vision, never quite had the lower my shoulder, run through a guy type of mentality. Last year, we saw him I want to say 15 pounds lighter than his typical weight, trying to get light for a fast offense. This year, he put that weight back on. This year, he's got Eric Bieniemy in his ear every time that he has a misread, that he's not, like Ron says, running the motherfucking hash. And you know what? It's hitting. It is hitting home. The last couple of weeks, you've really started to see it, but this week especially, that dude had some big runs today, where I'm not just talking yards. I'm talking made guys miss, ran a defender over to make sure he gets those extra 2 yards from the first down. DeAndre Swift is balling right now, and it is beautiful.
Q, I think about that 3rd and 5 run on the pitch that he spun off a defender and then ran through a guy to get the first down. That's the type of run that you're describing right there, man.
It's beautiful. I love the way he's running the football, and it coming into this year was kind of a foregone conclusion that Swift probably isn't here beyond this year, and he keeps running like this. I don't know if that's a foregone conclusion.
I agree.
He's playing great football. But let's go ahead. We're not doing a nicest man this week because we don't have a nicest man this week, right? Who would it be? Do we want to pick on Pinheiro? Or I'm saying not Pinheiro, Santos.
Same.
Pinheiro. Do we want to pick on Carlos Santos, or do we?
Carlos.
That one is a joke, but or do we want to pick on
Carlos.
Jaylon Johnson got burned a little, but he also had this sick interception. So there's no one to really go after on the nicest man. So we are doing something different.
Bears hot takes.
Kicking it to Ron first. What is a hot take you have on the Bears that can be from this game, during this game, or the rest of the season?
I tell you what, I got one that covers all of that. And I got to give credit where credit is due. So today I attended the game with one of my very near and dear friends, Mr. Kyle K, follower of the show, at Sir Kyle of the K on the X machine. And I'll tell you what, he said this early in the season. And originally I was like, maybe, like, we'll see. You know, it was kind of like, I'm not trying to think that far out right now. Like, we'll just see what happens. I'm just trying to enjoy the season. After today's game, I told him on the way home from the game today, I said, you're 1,000% correct, by the way. I don't even think it's that hot, but it's probably going to come off as hot. He said that by the end of the season, that Luther Burden would be the primary option in this offense. And I don't think he's wrong. Luther Burden is doing what they were hoping Rome Odunze was going to do in this offense. He is showing that he can be just the quick route and be a playmaker with the ball in your hands, right? Like Rome is very catch the ball, get tackled, catch the ball, get tackled. Sometimes you get a little bit of run out. I think of that play from Burden today, just on the quick comeback route and in open field, 2 yards away from him, he's able to completely just stutter step a defender and then stutter step another one, turn what probably should have been a 2-yard play into a 9.5-yard game. There's not a lot of guys like that. And again, this is the first draft class that's got the Ben Johnson fingerprint on it. Coaches are just as important in this process as GMs are. Like if you don't think that's the case, if you don't think that's the case, you're lying to yourself. The GMs do the job of going and getting guys, but there is a collective vision between coach and GM. This has the Ben Johnson fingerprint. This is the first like legit playmaker other than Loveland that they went out and got. And Loveland had a larger purpose in this offense, as we've seen with blocking and being a receiving threat. Luther Burden was like, you can be the next Amon-Ra, especially once you start learning how to block.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. Is that the role?
I think by the start of next season, Luther Burden is that role. I think he will finish as the primary option on offense. And we'll see how things transpire in the future. I still think guys like Rome and DJ can have a place here, assuming they're all still here. I still think it's going to be the Burden and Loveland show for as long as Ben Johnson can make sure that's the case. And Luther Burden is going to become the primary option in this offense.
I like that one. And we do have to note, as it says in the comments, Burden's ankle is injured as of this game. I think it came out that it's just a sprain, so hopefully nothing too much there. But yeah, I mean, Burden is taking full advantage of an opportunity right now. And, you know, it's a long season. He's going to get opportunities as it goes. But the one thing that when the Bears drafted him, I was shocked. One, I was not expecting it. But two, it's like, they got a dog. This dude's a dog. There's no question about it. His college tape was all over it. He's drawing with guys. He's fighting for every inch. He is not go down easy. And Ron, like you got to when you were saying in there, he has that initial like burst in any direction, right? He can get lateral. He can get upfield. It's that initial burst is just so impressive from him. And it's not like I've been saying all really since the offseason that like I thought the Bears needed a deep threat still, right? And it's a lot of people say, oh, they got Burden. He has 4.36 speed or whatever it was. It's like I feel like a lot of his speed is that initial burst, not so much the runaway after it. But that creating that initial separation is so impressive and nice from him that it's something that I expect Ben Johnson to further weaponize. Samir, what is your hot take on the Bears?
Okay, you guys ready for my meatball hot take? I don't think the Bears lose another game in the regular season. I think they go 3-0.
Yeah.
I think
13 wins.
Yes, I do. I think they're catching the Packers at an unfortunate time for Green Bay. You know, we don't root for injuries, but it is what it is, right? They're going to catch Green Bay coming off a very physical game against Denver, totally beat up. You and Ron pointed out, they've got still that bad taste in their mouth. They're coming off win. They got some swagger. I think they beat Green Bay, even though Green Bay's favored by 2.5. I checked the line earlier, which, whatever. At San Fran will be a tough game, but they should have Tremaine Edmonds back by then. I think it's very winnable. And Detroit, Jared Goff in the cold. Come on, I think they win that game too. I think they're gonna go 3-0 to sort of close out the season. That's my hot take.
I love it. I do think that 49ers game is going to be real tough. And then I have to imagine Detroit's still going to be in the playoff picture and fighting for their playoff lives in the final week of the season. So that'll be interesting to see if the Bears win
Ben doesn't remember that. Ben remembers getting smoked by them in week 2. He hasn't forgotten that. Nobody's forgotten that. They're going to, especially if it's cold again, they're going to hit hard. And
that box score is getting printed and put it on the bulletin in week 18. Mm-hmm. Especially when there's playoff seating on the line, that thing's on the bulletin.
My thought is more so what if the Bears don't have anything to gain in that game?
Then that's okay.
Yeah.
Could they? Is that I mean, do you feel like it's so close that in the NFC that all these games are going to matter?
It feels like they're all going to matter.
It does. It's just a what if. But I think you guys are right. I think they will matter.
It would be incredible to watch the Bears on January 4th and literally have a no stress Sunday.
Yeah.
Trust
me.
It would be
great.
a
no stress Sunday for the good reasons. We've had plenty of those for the bad reasons in the past few years. But and on the Packers injury front, Russell Luce in the comments. Oh, so sad, Packers. We agree. But see, for my hot take, I'm going to talk about a player who had a nice day today. I'm talking about DJ Moore. And DJ Moore, he's been a hot button issue for the Bears for the last year and a half, really, maybe a little more than a year and a half. And there's questions whether he'll be around here next year. My hot take is not to answer that. My hot take is that I think DJ Moore is going to be a massive problem the rest of the season for teams to defend, for teams to stop. You don't draw up red zone plays specifically for guys unless they're doing things right. DJ Moore had a very specifically drawn up red zone play for him today.
Now, do you think that is because Rome was out, or do you think regardless of whether Rome plays or not, DJ is going to continue to be a factor?
I think he's going to continue to be a factor. I think Rome is dealing with something fairly serious on his heel injury. And I'm not sure that he's really going to be a big difference maker the rest of the way. I think ever since he went on the injury report, his numbers have not been very good. Mm-hmm. That tells me that whatever he's dealing with is something that matters because he hasn't been the same player since then. Now, the other thing that stands out to me with DJ, where I'm like, he might be a problem, is that Caleb throw. That was a trust throw. That was I'm putting it where you can get it, and if someone else comes near, you got to take care of it. I think Caleb's trust in DJ is building and is growing, and I think that him putting in the work, him being in the right spots, hitting his right spots, doing the right things in practice, is going a long way towards that. And dude's been blocking his ass off for the last since about the halfway point of the season. He is doing the right things, and I expect him to continue being rewarded for it. So I think DJ Moore is up for a big finish this season the rest of the way.
I think he still leads the wide receivers in snap counts, doesn't he?
Probably.
DJ, if I'm not mistaken. So that shows Ben has that shows Ben has a lot of trust in him, even when he's not really getting the rock to know his assignments, what to block, all that stuff. So he's not coming off the field, that's for sure.
I think it also shows that I think we don't give DJ Moore enough credit about being just a smart football player. I think that's a lot of it too. It's just a veteran. You've been in this league long enough to know the little idiosyncrasies of your position when it comes to blocking and things like that, it makes more of a difference than guys that are in their second and first years respectively. There's value to DJ Moore's experience. I think it's kind of the Josh Reynolds, Tim Patrick mold of Detroit. I know Ben said he's not 1-for-1 with the offense, and I believe him in that. But you kind of need that guy who he's going to be able to show up when you need him to show up, but you ask a lot out of him, and maybe the numbers don't always look pretty, but he's the best version of that Ben Johnson's ever had.
I think the issue people have is Tim Patrick, they don't make as much money as DJ does, right? And so I think people kind of look at that to be like, oh, is there a cheaper option that you can get to do that dirty work kind of stuff? And I think that's where DJ gets a little bit of flack from, local media and the fans is because of that, which is, might be unfair.
Yeah, and my dad mentions here, as Rome and Luther grow, DJ becomes less critical, but DJ has some heavy costs. That's 100% true. Like, the money element would be, I think, the reason that DJ Moore becomes, quote unquote, less critical. But I think he's still important to this offense. Like, in a perfect world, Ben Johnson would love to have 3 elite wide receivers, plus 2 tight ends that are really good in the pass game, too. That's just an embarrassment of riches. I think if you have to do GM questions and off-season stuff that we're going to talk about in hopefully month and a half, maybe a little bit longer than that if things go right.
Maybe a little after February.
Yeah, maybe closer to Valentine's Day.
That stuff does tick a little bit into my hot take though, because right now, if you want to trade DJ Moore, other team GM is going, guys having by far the worst year of his season in a Ben Johnson offense.
Yeah.
Do I want that? I do think that there is just a touch like on their game planning because they need to increase DJ Moore's value, but just a little bit in the back of the mind, like if we are going to move on from him, it would be nice to get something for him.
Yeah, definitely. And especially too, if Rome's going to be out, I think there was a piece of it, Q, maybe to your point, like they knew that DJ would pick everything up. I think they were just hoping, I think that's probably why Rome was playing through something because of, hey, Luther's not quite there yet. And we kind of need you just to do the bare minimum, which is a lot of blocking and you'll get your targets. And if bad things happen, hey man, just do your best. I think now they're like, hey, we can let him chill and relax because now they still have the 2 legit weapons plus guys like, again, Loveland and Komet. So I wonder if that has something to do with it too, of just they were like, please let us get to a point where Luther's comfortable in this thing. And then that way, if, we can let Rome truly rest and be ready for the playoffs, because theoretically speaking, if this Bears team goes into the playoffs with 5 disgusting receiving options and 2 really good running backs, this is probably the one offense that a lot of people don't want to see when the game, when everything matters.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're right there with anyone in the league from that standpoint of if you are going into the playoffs, road, home, whatever, the Bears are a team where you're like, I don't know if I want to see them. They make you nervous because of how physical they are on both sides of the football.
100%.
But with all that being said, let's go ahead and get to our next segment here.
Keys to victory.
And so every single week in our pregame show, which usually goes live on Tuesday evenings, we talk about our keys to a Bears victory. And then we go over to ontapsportsnet.com and we write them up in a nice little article for you guys to check out. So make sure you're checking that out. But in our postgame show, we discuss those keys to victory, whether they came to fruition today or whether they were something that, maybe we missed on. Or maybe there's something that the Bears didn't hit, but obviously it went well today anyways. So our first key to victory was for the Bears to run the ball like it's the 1980s. Get off the bus running and really just take Myles Garrett out of the game. So starting with Ron, do you think they handled this today?
I think they did, because the only time that Myles Garrett was even remotely a factor was long developing pass plays where he actually could get a fair rush. There was a lot of just the quick game in the run. I think, to your point, Q, DeAndre Swift had a spectacular day. It felt like a little 1980s running. Not gonna lie, it was a little battered and bruising, and getting Durham Smythe out there like a fullback on the halfback toss. I'll tell you what, Q, I'm coming around on the halfback toss because I like how teams are running it now compared to how they used to. I think there's a lot of development there on the toss. It's making me happy. But man, I'm telling you, I think they did a good job here, Q. They ran the football like it's the 1980s. It was a true black and blue type game. It was cold as shit. And they got it done, and they dominated in the trenches all game long. And sure, maybe injury was helpful for some of that. I mean, the Browns' offensive line was practically all backups. But there was dominance on both sides of the football. They were just a more physical team, like you said. Looked like the 1980s to me, if that's a good sign, if we want to go retro.
All right, so our second key to the game was to keep Myles Garrett out of the game, not just out of the backfield. And specifically, it was running away from Garrett. I mean, if he's chasing me, I'm running away from him, but I won't get far. Shipping him with tight ends and backs, using motion to stress his alignment, and calling plays that force him into hesitation instead of aggression. Samir, how do you think this went for the Bears today?
I think it went about as well as you could hope it would go, right? Myles Garrett is a superstar, and to think that you were going to keep him out of that backfield is a little bit of a pipe dream. I thought they did a pretty good job early of running away from him, kind of taking him out a little bit. They did try to help Ozzie out. You saw Smythe on the field quite a bit. But Myles still got his, Caleb was used to kind of Houdiniing a little bit back there. Some of those didn't work, but he did beat Myles out to the edge one time, and they showed a replay of that. And then Myles had to come out of the game because he was gassed from chasing our greased up deaf guy. So, well, I don't think it was a perfect situation by any means, but some of that you have to give credit to Myles Garrett because he is just a freak of nature. So, I thought they did a decent job.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they did as well as you could have. And Garrett, he had the few sacks late. Honestly, they were kind of in garbage time in my mind. It was kind of like, why are the Bears still passing much anyways? But that's neither here nor there. I felt like when the game was still within reach, they kept him at bay. That's what I really cared about. And to the point in the comments, one of Garrett's sacks doesn't happen if Caleb keeps moving out of the pocket. And another one doesn't happen if the ball doesn't get fumbled. There was kind of one of them was kind of cheap, and another is like it might have been avoidable. But either way, I think
I know which one Neil's talking about. Is it looked like there was room for Caleb on one of those to like leave the pocket and scramble for a little bit, and then he kind of went back inside, and I think he got taken out by Harris came and kind of pushed him back into Garrett. I think that's
yeah, that's probably it. I was reading the comment, I thought it was going to say fumble, so I just kind of got caught off guard there. But I think you're right. I think there was room.
I think that was the 4th and 3. If I remember correctly.
That might have been right.
That was the one where he kind of stepped up, and it looked like he was going to step out, and he really didn't step out much. And then Garrett was able to get him from behind.
Yeah. Now for our final key to victory, this one was mine, and it was that the Bears need to light Shedeur Sanders up like a Christmas tree. I wanted them blitzing. I wanted them attacking. Shedeur had not proven much against the blitz in his 3 previous starts. His numbers weren't good, and he just hadn't seen it that much. So it was, again, blitz him, attack him, get runners at him. And you have a backup center who's very inexperienced there, too. Their protections are going to be messed up. You got to attack the line of scrimmage. And the Bears did. They caught they caught the Browns breaking protection rules a few times with the blitz. They hit Shedeur plenty. They got, I think it was 4 sacks on him, and they were on attack mode. So I think that they crushed this one as well.
He had his own couple, greased up deaf guy moments too, where I'm like, oh, how did we miss him there? Because 93, I saw him flash a lot. Tryon Shanika, the revenge game, I guess, for him. He was in the backfield. He wasn't able to bring Shedeur down, but I did see him kind of flashing quite a bit. But Shedeur was able to, you were right, Q. He was under duress. He has some decent escapability, though, I'd say. Yeah, there was a couple of times where I'm like, oh, man, how did we not get him there?
Yeah, I do think Shedeur's a talented quarterback. Like, I do think that there is something there. I question whether it's something that is really built for the elements in Cleveland. Hence, like we talked about in the pregame show, in last week's game against the Titans, they kept their field at 70 degrees, it was snowing, and might have been one of the most wet fields I've ever seen because the snow was just melting all game on it, which was odd. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in the NFL. But I do think there is something there with Shedeur. I'm not sure if it's something that really meshes with the elements in Cleveland that well. But gentlemen, I think that about wraps the show for us. Any final thoughts before we pack it up and start preparing for the Green Bay show?
It was cold as hell, but it was a beautiful day to be a Chicago Bears fan.
Yeah, I loved it. Great game. Got to watch the Bears really excel. I want to say in all three phases, but special teams, Cairo missed the field goal, and I think Taylor can be better, man. Like I still like he had that great punt, but then like he had another punt that was awful. But honestly, like let's just say all three phases, they played pretty well. Probably their most complete game. Good to see it. A lot of momentum going into the Packer game, and yeah, let's finish out 3-0. We can do it.
Yeah, for my final thought, I want to go back to one of the comments from our co-host Sonny that it's just nice that the Bears are at the point in the process where they play inferior teams and they make it clear that those teams are inferior.
Absolutely.
Like that was in our pregame show, Seth projected a lot of concern about like, we don't know that the Bears are this team that bounces back and doesn't, drop their level of play to the tier of their opponent. We don't know that yet. And I think today was a big step in that direction of like, hey, we came off an emotional loss in a game that, became popular this season for every opponent that we've played to say, oh, that was the Bears Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. The Packers game was at Lambeau was up there for like the game that's closest to like a regular season Super Bowl for the Bears. Coming off a loss in that game that's emotionally exhausting at the same time and still putting this shellacking on the Browns, like a very injured Browns team, but still doing it and taking care of business in a, winning by what was 4 scores, like, and 7 years ago, but but winning by 4 scores, like that's huge to me that they're able to put last week behind them and really take it one game at a time and take care of business.
Definitely. This is, dare I say, Q, a culture-defining win in the sense of, oh yeah, we keep saying bully ball on this podcast, especially over the last 3 weeks or so. It's really starting to feel like the bully ball thing is truly real.
Mm-hmm. I think it's their identity, and I love it. I think I always will go back to like 2018, right? Like I might have been a more passionate football fan in 2018, if I'm being honest, but I was a lot dumber of a football fan. And like, I remember this quote from Chris Long, who, it's like Kyle Long's brother. I'm interested in what he has to say, like, and Howie Long's son. Like, these guys just know ball. And it's like, there was in the offseason a quote from Kyle, I think on ESPN 1000, where he's like, yeah, Chris said to me, he's like, even if you guys won that game, you weren't winning at all. And Kyle was like, why? He's like, you guys weren't tough enough. You guys didn't dominate enough. You weren't bullies out there. You had a lot of good stuff. You had a lot of talent, but you guys didn't have the grit that it takes to win a Super Bowl. And ever since he said that, it's something that's just in the back of my mind. And this is the first Bears team since then where I'm like, they might not have everything they need to win a Super Bowl right now, but they have that.
Yeah, they do.
But, gentlemen, why don't we get out of here with a good old-fashioned bear down, and we will look forward to next week.
Bear down, boys.
Bear down.
Bear down.